Hi there, we're going to continue. This is part 2 of our section 1.1 and 1.2 video. All right, so we were talking about population, sample, and then sample size is the number of observational units in the particular sample being studied. The next example, statistical studies. So for each of the following, identify the observational unit. So let's put our definitions, everything that we've learned into practice. So identify the observational units and the variables and classify the variable as quantitative or categorical. So here, let's start with identifying the observational units. How much did an average American consumer spend on Christmas presents in 2019? So let's type the observational units. So what do we think the observational units are? So let's see, let's read the study. How much did an average American consumer, so the observational units appears to be American consumers. And then let's identify the variable. What is it that we're recording? So how much did an average American consumer spend on Christmas presents in 2019? So the variable is the amount of money spent on Christmas presents in 2019. And then what type of variable is this? Is it quantitative or categorical? And because it is the amount of money spent, we're going to say this is quantitative. Okay, and so we are going to also classify variables as discrete or continuous. So let me scroll down to the bottom so we can see what those definitions are. Quantitative data can be described by discrete or continuous. A discrete variable is the results when the data values are quantitative and the number of values is finite or countable. So there are specific numbers we can count, like how many siblings do you have? 2, 3, 0, things like that. Continuous results from infinitely many possible quantitative values, where the collection of values is not countable. So how long did you wait for the bus, for example, right? It can be when you count into minutes, seconds, milliseconds, you can't really count them. There are infinitely many numbers, and they're between 15 minutes and 16 minutes. There's infinitely many numbers in there. Or how tall are you, right? Those are, that will be a continuous quantitative variable. So here, the amount of money spent on Christmas presents is quantitative, and we're going to say continuous, because it has dollars, cents, and those are how many cents, right? There's lots of values, and there's not a discrete like 1, 2, 3, 4, something that you can count easily. Part B is the price of a house related to its size. So identify and classify two variables. There is my hint. So again, we're looking for observational units and variables. So let's start with the observational units. What are the observational units here? So let's see, is the price of a house related to its size? So the observational units are houses. And then what about the variable? In this case, I did say there are two variables. So what's one of them? Is the price of a house. So we're going to say sell price is one variable. And what would you say this is? Quantitative or categorical? This is an amount, so this is going to be quantitative and continuous. And what's our other variable? The other variable will be size of the house. And is this quantitative or categorical? The size of the house usually is measured in square feet, so this is also going to be quantitative and continuous or discrete. It's going to be continuous also. So hopefully this is making sense. The next one, do college students who pull all-nighters tend to have a lower grade point average than those who do not pull all-nighters? So same thing, identify two variables and the observational units. So what are our observational units? Do college students, so we're looking at college students, so that is our population, our sample, and then the variables. What's one variable? So let's see. Do college students who pull all-nighters tend to have a lower grade point average than those who do not pull all-nighters? So it looks like we're looking at GPA and all-nighters. So let's start with GPA. And what is this? Quantitative or categorical? GPA is measured from 1 to 4. It is an amount, so we're going to say quantitative. And is it discrete or continuous? Well, you can have like between 3 and 4, you can have like 3.1, 3.2, so we will say this is continuous. What's the next variable? Do college students who pull all-nighters, and so you may have to read the question a number of times, and that is okay. Like notice I keep reading it just to remind myself, okay, what is happening? So do college students who pull all-nighters tend to have a lower grade point average than those who do not? So the other variable will be whether college students pull all-nighters. That's the other variable we're tracking. And is this, what type of variable is this? Categorical or quantitative? And yes, this is categorical. Is it binary or not? Yes, binary, because the answer to that question is yes, they do, or no, they don't. And then we look at their GPA. Can you predict how far a cat can jump based on factors such as its length? So what are the observational units? So who or what are we studying? So can you predict how far a cat can jump? So we're looking at cats. So that is our observational unit. What's the variable? How far a cat can jump. So we're looking at distance the cat can jump. And so is this categorical or quantitative? I started to say categorical, but it is actually quantitative. And so the question now is it discrete or continuous? And it's a distance, right? So can you count the distance by going 0, 1, 2, 3, 4? No, right? Because you can go depending on its length. If it's centimeters or inches, it could be like 2.1, 2.11, 2.3, 0.2. So we're going to say this is continuous. Is there another variable here? Can you predict how far a cat can jump based on factors such as its length? Yeah, so there is another variable here, and that would be the length of the cat. And so this will also be quantitative, and because it's length again, it will be continuous. And I'm going to skip E for now. You can email me about it. But the observational units are going to be the students at Harvard. And there is a categorical and a quantitative variable in there. So I want you to do that one on your own. And then in Canvas, I will post the answer to that. And so we've already talked about the quantitative data being discrete or continuous. And so here are some more examples. So casino employees plan to roll a fair die until the number 5 comes up. And they count the number of rolls required to get a 5. So this is definitely quantitative. And the question is it discrete or continuous? They count the number of rolls required to get a 5. So how many rows does it take? So I guess the question is, could you have like 4.2 rows? No, right? It's a whole row. So this will be an example of a discrete variable. Is countable by going 1, 2, and so on. Students in the Set 300 class record the exact length of times that they surreptitiously use their smartphone during class. So again, this is a quantitative variable. Right? Because they record the exact lengths. So this is quantitative, but it is the length of time. So this will be an example of a continuous variable. All right, so that is something to keep in mind. So as you're reading studies, what are the observational units, right? So who, what are we studying? And then what are we recording from that observational unit? So that is the variable. And then the variable comes, is it categorical or quantitative? And then if it's categorical, how many categories? If it's quantitative, is it discrete? Can you count it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And it could be infinite, but as long as there's no in between, right? Like you couldn't have 40.2, then it is discrete. Continuous is when you have all those numbers in between whole numbers as possibilities as well. All right, email me if you have any questions.